Welcome to the election desk. Today, we speak to the Progressive People's Party's running mate, Mr. Kofi Asamasean. Mr. Asamasean,
Chief,
welcome.
thank you very much.
Have you always had presidential ambitions?
Not necessarily presidential ambitions, but I've always tried to get an opportunity to be in public service. I tried to be in the Ghana Armed Forces.
Okay.
I got very close to in fact, I was called that I had passed, but I think other people beat me to the competition, so I was on standby. I tried to go into foreign service. Interestingly, after I submitted my application, there was a short list for us to go and participate in an entrance exams. What shocked me was that even though I was a first-class student in political science, and at the time I had masters in international affairs, I didn't make it to go and write an entrance exams. So I was that curious. So I think that maybe there was a mix-up, but why I didn't get a chance to just go and write an entrance exam shocked me. There was a police service, but I've always wanted to have an opportunity. I knew I could do better in parliament to serve my people, and I knew it was going to cost a lot of money to be able to campaign. So I thought I should work rather, raise my own money, and be able to fund my campaign. I didn't know that process of active public service or active politics that leads into public service will come faster. So in 2012, I became PPP's parliamentary candidate for Akim Modan constituency. Even before that, PPP had been formed, and that is what gave me my first public engagement.
So fast forward to 2020. What are you really in the race for?
Well, I'm in the race. I've said that my mission in politics is to work with others to end the subjugation of state interest to personal and parochial partisan interest.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that I see a growing sense of we want to make the political parties bigger than the state. So you have people who have been elected as president, members of parliament. Their decisions and their thinking and their orientation, more or less, is first of all defend party's interest and at the expense of the state interest. There's nothing wrong defending your party interest, but when it conflicts with state interest, I will assume that you take up the state interest and pursue it. But we don't see that in our politics, and I think it's a danger. It's a slippery slope, and it's one of the things that encourages me to be in that space. Projects that we aspire to pursue.
Okay. So those are your goals as an individual. How about PPP? What's PPP in the race for?
Well, the PPP basically we are in the race to win, and we have different definitions of winning. One is that we hold the fundamental proposals that can transform this country.
Okay.
It is clear that the two parties are not interested to implement or give us opportunity to elect our MMDCs. They are not interested to implement the Constitutional Review Commission's recommendations for us to have public declaration of assets regime and back it up with false, if you like, criminal sanctions for false declarations and so on. It is clear that the partisanship is what is all of us are pursuing. It is clear that we can't even call things by their proper names. You have party militias, and the two parties are glorifying it by calling it vigilantism and so on. So we are prepared to put in place these fundamental changes that we believe that is what we must do first. If all our problems is caused by corruption, if you don't tackle corruption, you are wasting your time doing all those things that has been advertised, planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory, salt cutting and all of those things. We must deal with the fundamental. And the fundamental is that we must fight corruption head on. We must remove ministers from parliament. They are conflicted. We must elect our MMDCs.
Okay. Even before we get to the intricacies of PPP and what you stand for, going to elections and all that, as far as you're concerned, realistically, right, what position do you think you get after the election day?
Well, we are hoping to be first or second, and we foresee, if you like, a runoff between us and one of those parties. And the reason why we are confident is that 28 years we are where we are. A lot of people will say NPP has been winning, NDC has been winning, and therefore they stand the chance of winning the next election. It's not true, because the level of despondency is so high. For the first time, you hear a lot of people say they won't vote. We are sending them a message that they should cast their protest vote in favor of the PPP. So if you have many people disappointed and the PPP is responding with a new hope, because we have lost hope in the two parties, then it's very easy. People queue. All they need to do is to put their thumb where the PPP is, number 10, the game changer, the maestro in the game, and it's that easy. And that gives us confidence that we will win the next election.
Let's talk about the details of it then. How do you intend to improve education in the country?
Well, it's good that you have brought up education. The current president, I like his passion, but anytime it comes to education, he decides to feign ignorance about basic education. In the constitution that he has sworn to protect, there are three provisions that talk about education. I think Article 18 or 14 talks about being able to incarcerate a young person for the purposes of educating him or her, and that will not constitute a violation of his fundamental human right. So the Constitution elevates education to that level. And it moves on to Article 25 and says, basic education shall be free, compulsory, and available to all. Everybody I know has decided to feign ignorance about the existence of that provision.
Isn't that being practiced now?
No, what is being practiced is an addition the Constitution said we should do. That's the Article 25, Clause 1B. It says when you have resources, make senior high school free. But before that, it says make basic education compulsory and available to all.
But basic education is free and
It is not free and it's not compulsory. If you go to the market now, you see 2.5 million children who are supposed to be in basic schools who are outside school. They are loitering about, they are on the cocoa farms, they are selling on the streets, they are recalcitrant, their parents are even willing to take them to school, they are not going. The state has failed fundamentally in that area. And nobody is talking about compulsory education. When was the last time Nana Akufo-Addo mentioned that word in all the plenty sentences he has put across? So we are the ones that are saying that we care much about the most important natural resource, which is the human beings. So our educational policy is that it's free, continuous, compulsory education, ICT, technical, vocational training, from kindergarten to senior high school.
How are you going to enforce it? Because if you stated that pupils right now, when you go to marketplace, you still see children loitering around and everything, although as it stands, we are practicing free compulsory basic education. If you are still seeing pupils aren't not going, how are you going to? What different thing are you going to do to ensure
Well,
that
there are
that is
three
not
things we
happening?
will do. Thankfully, we have national identification card, and as vice president of the republic, and if Madam President gives him that responsibility, I go to the office every morning. I know how many Ghanaian children are below the age of 12 that must be in basic school, or below 18, because we want to add senior secondary school to it. Nobody find BEC useful. In fact, it is a useless certificate. So one of the things we will do is to abolish BEC, the exam. It's not going to be there. So as vice president, when I go to the office, I check all those who must be in school from kindergarten to senior high school. If there are 5 million of them, and I get a report that the markings or the attendance sheet is less than 5 million, I call the commander-in-chief of the education police that where can we find these Ghanaian children? Have they traveled? Are they sick? Why didn't they go to school? So utilizing the national identification card system is one way. Deploying education police is another way. And we will introduce incentives that if you don't have SS certificate, which is the minimum in our view that Ghana should have, there are some economic opportunities that you can't take advantage of.
Okay.
So, for example, you can't go to the immigration service, you can't go to the army. No state institution will employ you to do anything if you don't have those qualifications. Right. Like, for example, today.
Before you give me the example, let me just get you to hold this thought. I'm taking a really quick break. We are speaking to the running mate of the Progressive People's Party, Mr. Kofi Asamoah. Join us after the break for more.
We table issues relating to the arts and entertainment for a riveting discussion, of course, without fear nor favor.
The question the presenter asked them was a dumb question. You need to speak the fact and move.
Varied views. We agree to disagree.
So I would disagree with everything you said. I think that he's a smart guy. I think what he did.
No, but I also said he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I guess that I'm waiting for the what next. Yeah,
I don't think that we have to wait for what next.
It sometimes gets confrontational, but that's the beauty of the game.
Today you deny funny face.
It's not my brother.
Today you deny funny face.
I don't know him.
You don't know funny face.
It's not my brother.
You don't know funny face.
It's a package. We meet, we sit, we dialogue, we learn, we progress. My name is Benefo Wabin Abrantepa, a proud blogger, and this is my forum.
Welcome back. We are speaking to the Progressive People's Party's running mate, Mr. Kofi Asomasian. Before the break, Kofi, you're telling us about how you're going to enforce the basic.
Yeah, so I was saying that, for example, there are states institutions that you can't get in if you don't have senior certificate. So it's an encouragement that is like a reward and stake kind of system where you lose the opportunity to do some kind of economic activity if you don't have the basic requirements. So for example, today in Regulation 2180, if you don't have BEC certificate, you can't drive or you can't have access to a driver's license. So that, for example, will be like, it will be elevated to SSS, will improve driving and discipline on the road. At the same time, people will know that if you don't have SS certificate, even if you become the richest man or woman in Ghana, you still cannot drive. So it is those kinds of arrangements that we will put in place for us to be able to encourage the young men and women to participate in the compulsory education. And it's a responsibility of the state to do it. So whatever measures, and I've mentioned 3 of them, and we will do promotions and lessons for people to know that it's in their own interest for them to appreciate the essence of education. And I'm sure the whole country will agree with us and support such a call led by Madam President and myself.
Okay, let's talk about jobs. In 2016, PPP was really big in jobs. Your manifesto, you're preaching a lot of jobs and all that, and it didn't get anywhere because the electorate had other things in mind. What are you doing differently as far as that is concerned?
Well, I think they still have jobs in mind. In fact, we are promising more jobs, and not just promising jobs, but practical ways to create the jobs. This morning, I got the understanding that our leaders that we continue to vote for, NPP and NDC, they continue to waste our time and they continue to waste our future. Why do I say that? The president is going about recently in the few days running up to the election, cutting salt and re-awarding contract or road contract he himself cancelled and suspended. Now, one of the ways that
you have proof to this.
the Eastern Corridor Road, for example, was completely suspended for the past 4 years. His recent visits to the Volta region and just this week in Greater Accra, he's re-awarding those contracts and cutting salt for same. The same stretch from Tema to Aflao had been awarded on contract. This is something that we're supposed to do since independence. So one of our proposals for creating jobs is that we want to open up the country. By opening up the country, we mean we must build roads to connect the regional capitals. It has been there. It's not PPP even saying it. We are highlighting and committing to do them.
Okay.
So we have national roads that are up to 1 to 18. N1 is the motorway type of road from Aflao to Olobo. If you put that road on the coast, you are opening up that corridor for investments to go into that area. You can close your eyes and imagine a similar road network from Wa or Laura to Boko. That northern stretch is not done. I think that is N16. That's N16 plus N13, N10, and so forth. Okay. Nobody has done it. That is one way that we are proposing to create the millions of jobs. So the road construction itself will give you the job, and then when the economy is expanded, the country is opened up, private sector people will go and put their jobs there. I'll give you an example. Planting for food, the one district, one factory, actually, the 70 that the president said is ready, 66 of them are actually private sector initiative. And all that the government did was to provide them access roads and so on and so forth. So if you provide the access road first, the private sector will respond. Even today that you have not provided a route, they are responding. So it's like they have lost the solutions to deal with the problem that we face, and they are
that's where you
doing
come in.
different things politically. Yeah. The second way to create jobs, if you import 2.2 billion cedis worth of rice, sugar, and poultry, what you have done is that you have exported 2.2 billion dollars worth of jobs. We will not do that.
Okay.
One way to do that is this: government will take the first step. In fact, we will instruct. You know this thing they call capacity building programs. There are millions of them across the country every year. We are not saying we are going to stop it, but if you go to those programs and you're a government agency, you will eat Ghana rice, you will eat Ghana chicken, you will eat Ghana egg, you will drink Ghana fruit juice. If you won't eat it, you won't go for the conference.
Okay.
If that hotel cannot provide it, they won't have the contracts for that conference to be awarded to them. If you do that, the government is putting our money directly in the hands of local people, and we are creating a market or a demand for their goods and services.
You are the general manager of the GM Group, no? Have you resigned or you're still there?
One of the general managers. In fact, I'm currently unemployed because that's why one of the reasons I'm applying for a new job. I used to work with GN Bank, or which became GN Savings and Loans.
Okay.
I am proud of my achievement at the bank and what we did. In fact, our dream is deferred, and I say publicly that the institution has been temporarily suspended. I don't see it as license revocation.
The institution, as in
The GM Bank,
okay.
yes, it's temporary. Its operations is temporarily suspended,
Yeah.
and we wanted to establish a financial institution not established by Ghana government money or taxpayers' money, as you have in, let's say, NIB or ADB or any of the other banks that you have that government having shares in. We wanted an individual enterprise to demonstrate that a bank, a national bank, can be created by an individual enterprise and sweat. So we ended up taking, for me, I was leading it, took the bank from 84 branches to 300 branches. And the essence of it was to put a bank branch in every district capital of Ghana.
Yeah.
At the time the bank had its crisis, engineered by government policy, we had close to 1.2 million customers. Our deposit was 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. Which local bank had been able to achieve that feat? And then government didn't find the need to save that institution. Even if government was not prepared to save that institution with taxpayers' money, government had every obligation to pay its debt towards that financial institution. At the time the license of the bank was revoked or announced by Bank of Ghana, the bank was entitled to receive well in excess of 629 million Ghana cedis from various state institutions. All these things were ignored. And that is why I say that the collapse of GN Bank was a classic case of abuse of the combined powers of the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance.
You say you are unemployed and you are looking for a job now, but you are going to be running mates if after December 7 you become the vice president of Ghana. Don't you think your electors are going to think that you're unemployed and you are going to depend on the public purse, obviously?
Oh no, but basically everybody who has an opportunity to work in public service has his salary that is entitled to, and the assurance is that we have said that we will publicly declare our assets, our salaries. I think president and vice salaries are a matter of public information.
Yeah.
So it's those kinds of commitment. In fact, I'm one of the people who have said that the public officers should not be paid more than doctors and nurses, should not be paid more than engineers and so on, because we are administrators.
So it's something you enforce when you
yeah, definitely. So it's an open thing, and there's nothing wrong with people being honest about what they want to do and what they are prepared to offer in that public space. For example, we have said that the Right to Information Act that has been passed, citizens are supposed to pay fees to get information from state institutions. We are ready to remove that, and we have promised that nobody will pay fees to access information from government. It is those kinds of transparent governance that we want to render,
okay.
and that I think that it is missing in our politics, and Ghanaians are looking for that option, and we are the ones offering that in 2020 elections.
But you see, people are saying that when they vote for the smaller parties, it's like they're wasting their votes. So why should they?
Well, first of all, there's nothing like smaller party.
Okay.
I appreciate and respect the people's right to choose. So in 2012, they voted for us. That number that voted decided to vote for us.
Okay.
The same group of people, a significantly higher number, decided to vote for the other parties. I still grant them that right. It's these people who are despondent now. It's these people who have formed the association of We Won't Vote. And I've met their president, and I'm encouraging them to not just waste the vote by staying at home, but they should cast their protest vote for the PPP. So we are all political parties, and then we are all looking for, applying for a job. And they have looked at other people's CVs, and they have interviewed them, and they have voted for them. And when they gave them the job, they didn't do it well. They are the owners of corporate Ghana, and we are saying that they should look at our CV, look at our proposals, look at the things we are committed to change, and then they should vote for us for that change to happen. Okay. So it is not a question of smaller party or big party. Those nomenclatures don't exist anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Kofi Asomasian.
Thank you very much.
Number 10, what does number 10 mean for you guys?
Well, I think we're happy with number 10.
It's far-fetched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, it's an easy number. It's a complete number. It's God's perfect number, 10 commandments. And also at the time that the number 10 was, I mean, if you look, it's an iconic jersey in football.
Unless you're saying that.
All the game changers are well number 10. And I'll tell you something, during the time of the maestro, our own maestro, when the game got tough, he will beacon his players and say, pass the ball to me and let me take on the opponent.
So this is what
so let Ghanaians pass the vote to our way, and all the suffering going on will take them on. The corruption, the poverty, the illiteracy will go away in minutes.
Mr. Kofi Asomasian, thank you for speaking with us, but that's all time will allow us. My name is Lord Harris Edwasari. We are speaking to the running mates of the Progressive People's Party. They believe that the party are going to be the playmakers ahead of these elections. Do join us in the next edition when we bring you another guest on Ghana Election Desk.